Alright, this is for 8th grade. I know it says slope quiz on there, but this isn't exactly a quiz. This is more of a review, but it's just stuff that we got to talk about. I'm going to have you guys do a lot of these on your own, but I'm going to explain as much as I can and hopefully lead you to where you need to be on it. So number 1 says just explain the definition of slope. Well, what I want you guys to think about is if I've got change of y over my change of x, it's usually the same thing as rise over run. And a lot of the time, whenever we simplify these out, it gives us a unit rate. And pardon the terrible handwriting, I'm having to do this on my phone in a small closet. Unit, wow, rate. So I want you to think about what that definition could be. Mostly, I want you to explain what rise over run is. Why does it work like that on a graph? On number 2, it says draw an example of each type of slope in the boxes below. All I'm going to tell you on these is positive slope goes up from left to right. So just give me an example of one of those. A negative slope is obviously the opposite of positive. So negative slope would be going down from left to right. Zero slope's a little tricky. In fact, actually I'm going to help you out on this one. If I have a mountain and there is no slope to it, well, that's, going pretty much straight across. It's flat. There's no slope. That would be m equals 0. But now when we're talking about undefined, well, if I'm talking about a mountain, and you don't have to write all this on yours. In fact, I don't want you to write this on yours. If it's positive, it's going up from left to right. If it's negative, it's going down from left to right. If there's no slope, it's flat. The only other option is if I'm going on a mountain and it's straight up and down, well, that's not going to be that's not slope. That's undefined. You can't define a wall. So your slope or an undefined slope would be more like this, where it's straight up and down on your graph. The blue one's the only one that I'd want you to have written on there. If you get the other ones written on there, I know you're not listening to the video. All right, at number 3, I'm only going to help you out with one of these. These are what you guys are getting pretty good at. We're still talking about change of y over the change of x. So what you guys will be doing is you will look at your y's first. I would see how far from there to there. And then there are my x's. And I would see how much I change from there to there. And you do that same thing on both of these. So just change of y over change of x. Mark on that one on your own. This one's not too bad. I think this will be pretty straightforward for you guys. Number 4 says find the slope of each line with the given equations. Well, when we were talking about these, we're talking about y equals mx plus b. So there's m, there's b. You ought to know which one of the slope is, because that will go over here. Now, on this one's a little tricky. This is not something you guys have to do real quick, so I'm going to rewrite this equation for you just so you know what it looks like. If you know how to figure this out, awesome. But your equation should be y equals 5x plus 12. Believe it or not, those two are both the same thing, but this is the one I want you guys to work with. So you're going to tell me what the slope on that one is. On the back side. So number 5 says find the slope of each of the line segments from a given shape. So A wants me to find the slope of AB. Well, here's AB right here. Multiple ways to do that one. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you this one, and the rest of these are going to be on your own. Actually, I'm going to do 2 of them. So my slope is just going to be my rise over my run. Well, I rise 3, I run 1. So my slope for AB would be 3 over 1, and 3 divided by 1 is just 3. Do one more for you. Well, A and D, between A and D, it does ask about A and D. This is a flat line. Well, with a flat line, you don't rise any. So think about what your number would be. And your run looks like it's over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So my rise, I want you to think about what your rise is between A and D over 6. You can figure that part out on your own. Make sure you have your answer written. Number 7 says determine the slope of the line of the graph that passes through 3, 2, and 5, 5, and then graph the line. Well, to graph it, you just need to plot those 2 points. I'd plot that one, and I would plot that one. And then you can either do rise over run, or you can look at your change of y over your change of x. You can look at how much your y has changed by, and you look at how much your x's change by. Or just count your rise and run once you have it graphed. Yes, you do have to graph it whether you like it or not. Graph both points. Number 7 says graph the line that has a slope of a -2 and a point at the origin. Meaning, you're going to start right here. That's your center point. In fact, I'm going to give you guys the equation because that might help you out. So you're essentially graphing y equals -2x. There's not a plus anything. That's like plus 0 is what that is. But this is your rise and your run. That -2 is. So I would make this, I'm going to straighten up that 2 a little bit, sort of. So I would make that 2 over 1. So meaning you're dropping down 2 and running 1 from that little blue dot there in the middle. On to number 8. It says identify the slope of the line shown on the graph below. I would just do rise over run, or change of y over change of x, or however the heck you want to do it. There's your rise, and there's your run. I'll let you guys figure that out on your own. Number 9 says explain why the slope of the line that goes through the points 4, 3 and 1, -2 is not 1. Then tell what the correct slope is. Other than actually just working it out, I hadn't even done it yet. This is the first time I'm looking at it. I would just look at your y values, and I would look at your x values. So see how much you change by. So I'm going to write this out again, just so nobody forgets. Change of y over the change of x. So I'd see how much you change from here to here, and then I would look how much you change from there to there. Okay, those are going to be the numbers that you need. As far as explanation goes, I don't need much on there. Number 10 says the cost of a watermelon is displayed on the graph. What is the slope of the line? Pick anything. It doesn't really matter. And this looks like it might be one of those fancy graphs that goes through 0, 0. So you could find out the cost for 1. But what I would recommend doing is checking out your rise and your run. Make sure you are looking at the numbers. So my rise looks like it's between 150 and 1. So that ought to be pretty simple. And then my run is between 4 and 6. So check those numbers. That'll give you your slope. In fact, I'm going to write that change of y over change of x over here again. Change of y over change of x. And then it says, what does the slope represent? Well, your slope is pretty much going to be the cost of a watermelon over, what we call it, the size of the watermelon, and in pounds. So think cost in pounds. How do we phrase that whenever we're talking about cost over pound? That's pretty much it on this one, guys. If you got any questions, make sure that you ask. This is about all I'm doing for you on the video, though.